Welcome back to another episode of the Kelly and Erinn Show. As always, you guys, we are so happy that you're here with us, taking some time out of your busy summer days to be with us, hang out with us, and just talk about life and talk about things that come up in our life all the time and things that we're really working on and leaning into. And today, we really wanted to dive into the concept of visualization because visualization is such a powerful tool that we have really, really leaned into throughout the course of, I want to say maybe the last 10 years, maybe even more so than that. But visualization is nothing without taking concrete action. So today we're talking about how to see and to feel your dreams as if they've already happened. And then to bridge that gap between dreaming and actually doing the thing and taking that aligned action forward. And there's so many incredible teachings and teachers and people that we've listened to over the years that have really, inspired this conversation and our own journey through, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Wayne Dyer, even Chris Williamson, Neville Goddard. There's all these incredible teachers out there. So we just thought we would talk about our experience with it and dive on in. Mom, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, it really is how we roll. And you kind of don't even realize that you're doing it now on an automatic basis. But we bring so much visualization into our daily life. And it's just funny how we've now seeing how these things are manifesting in such like a huge way. And we're setting ourselves up for success too, because with that visualization too, I always believe too that you need to create that life like the boundaries around the things that you know are the weaker things that can weaken you, so you get thrown off what your path is that you want to be on. But the visualization is so powerful, and I think that one of our biggest turning points was when we went to see Dr. Joe Dispenza in 2019, right? It was in September, and we spent a week and did one of his retreats, and it was so fascinating to understand the mind and the mind heart coherence, and that your heart actually has a bigger brain and a more intuitive brain than this brain. This brain is just a receiver. So it's just so important for us to keep at whatever frequency we're choosing, because that's a choice, is what's going to be brought into your life. So saying that, I'm saying a lot of things right now, but what I always live with is that breaking that patterns. If I go, I want my backyard to look a certain way, and I'm fixated on growing veggies and fruit trees and creating abundance like that with food and sustenance and nourishment. But I have to take that step towards creating that, as opposed to saying, well, you know what, I'm going to draw the plan and I'm going to then figure out what the plants are that I want to put out there, and keep on planning and planning and planning and not taking that step towards it. That, to me, when you don't take those steps, is ultimate failure, because you're allowing your procrastination, you're allowing your stalling, you're allowing your ego to give you all the reasons to stay safe and stay with your old life.
Totally. And I think when the concept of visualization is, when you're actually visualizing that end result, and we'll use your garden, for example, because it's absolutely epic. So you could say to yourself, I have a beautiful, abundant, thriving garden, and then actually feel the feelings of what it feels like within your soul, within your body, within everything, to actually have a beautiful, thriving, abundant garden. And then that's the frequency that's going to come back into your life. Like, it's about aligning what that vision is of your life to that high frequency of saying, okay, so when I get this, and this is my vision of my life, whether it's X, Y, Z, A, B, C, whatever your vision is of your life, it's about aligning then the emotion behind it. So for some people, it could be a financial visualization, like, I have $1 million in the bank account. Okay, so how do you feel as a human being with $1 million in the bank account? Do you feel the feelings of ease, of gratitude, of comfort, trusting, releasing, like just that overall calm in your life, knowing that your financial side of things are taken care of, as opposed to just saying affirmations, saying, I am wealthy, I am rich, I am all of this stuff, without actually feeling the emotion behind it. And I think that's part of the missing link for so many people, that when they're doing visualization techniques and, trying to say these affirmations left, right, and center, it's they're not adding in the whole feeling behind it of how they're going to feel when that end result happens. And I think that
Yeah,
is the key that really takes it from just, saying these catchphrases and these words to actually making it come into reality for someone.
absolutely.
Do you have a cat?
I have a cat live in person. It's Daisy. She sings to me.
Thank you, Daisy, for coming into that and just ending off what I was saying on such a beautiful note. I appreciate that.
See, it's live in person. Here we go. I believe so much in that, the emotional state of it, and I think that that's what comes with like meditation and the stillness. And I go out to nature an awful lot. Like that's sort of my thriving platform, is to go out there and just celebrate being alive, celebrate that I get to take that step towards whatever is my inherent life plan, because we can also too only do so much. We have to surrender to a lot of things. It's like this, there's some weird words here, right? There's surrendering, but then there's doing. What's the difference? But there's the doing aspect of what you are capable of doing as a human, as a body, as this like avatar that's housing your soul and your whole journey that you're meant to be on. But we don't know what that journey is. So we can only align with our heart's passion and what excites us, like what turns us on, what brings us so much joy. You take those steps through that passionate path and of that ultimate joy, then you are going to see the things that are going to land in your life. Like you don't know what it looks like. It's like tapping into the ether, tapping into the quantum, and all of a sudden these things just start landing for you because you've aligned yourself with that trueness, that the true heart centering, the true heart joy that brings you so much, aliveness. It's not about finances, like, that brings us the joy. It's not about having that house that brings you the joy, or that car or whatever. No, like those are the things that are so misguided. It's about, to me, how do we get to serve? Because if I'm in my highest joyful state, my highest happiness, passionate state, and it's giving back to the world, like that to me is what let's just talk about, so okay, how the second location showed up. Like,
I was just going to talk about that for a
yeah,
minute, because
because
I
we were
feel like
so aligned to bring joy, and going like we stalled and stalled and stalled,
Mhm.
right? I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, but we stalled and stalled and stalled so much, and making the excuses, whatever the COVID thing that happened, to Kelly's now going through a divorce, and all these things that were hijacking the passion of what we wanted to do and accomplish and give back with. But then when we decided to go, no, it's activation time. What's it gonna look like to open up a place in Oakville?
Yes.
You know?
And it was like
And lo
putting
and
it out
behold,
there.
it appeared.
Totally. It was like putting that consciousness, putting that thought out there. And that's a lot of what like Joe Dispenza talks about a lot of, what would it look like to open a location in Oakville? What would it look like to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like whatever that is. And then you're opening yourself up to all of these possibilities. And another example, this is a recent example, was us getting the office space in Oakville as well. This was something that, we had thought about it for a little while. And obviously, getting the news of Burlington closing at the time, we were losing our full office. It was like a 600 square foot office, like very large space on the second floor of 401 Brand Street there. And we were like, okay, like, what are we going to do? How are we going to swing this? Like, what would it look like to be there on the second floor of the Oakville space? And we've been putting it out there into the ether, putting it out there into the world. And I kid you not, you guys, our landlord approached us like a week later and said, you know what? The law office that's upstairs there at the Oakville, at your location in Oakville, they're going to be downsizing some of their offices. And the office space right above your location in Oakville has come available. Would you like it as an office space? And we were like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, how?
Yes,
How?
please.
Yes. Yes, freaking please. Of course. Absolutely. And again, that goes into us finding our new Burlington location. We visualize what we wanted for a new location for Burlington. We wanted it to be in a heritage building. We wanted it to be on Brant Street. We wanted it to be bigger than what 401 Brant Street was. We wanted it to be on a corner. Like there are so many things that we visualized and we put out there into the freaking world, universe, the ether, whatever the heck you want to call it, that allowed it to become reality for us. So it's so freaking powerful when you start tapping into it. It's so cool.
I think too, you have to align yourself with that energy of what you truly desire for your life and absolutely believe in it before it even shows up. Like, and this is what we're saying is that you believe in it so much that that life that it's going to show itself, it's going to show up, but you have no idea how you're going to get there and what the final product even is going to look like. Because remember this too, that this is always for your highest. So we're all here with our soul contracts that are so different and so varying, and for what country we live in, to how big is our bank accounts, to are we going to be divorced 10 times, or are we going to be married for 60 years, or am I going to have, is my soul contract to have more than one child? Is it to have no kids? Is it to have 10 kids? Like whatever, like whatever that is. And it's just allowing life force to come through you in such a magnificent way that you just don't know how it's going to happen, but you just know that you are going to be so supported for your highest joyful state.
Totally. And that was something too when when we went to go and see Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he, like a lot of his teachings are all science based, and he's all about neuroscience and like looking at heart and brainwave coherence. And like it is wild. Honestly, if you ever have the chance to go see him in person, that was a life changing week for us for sure. With the thing that really stuck with me when we went to go and see him back in 2019 was your mind doesn't know the difference between the reality that you're in right now, present day, and your future reality. So if you start thinking those thoughts and having those feelings of, oh, I have, like I said earlier, $1 million in my bank account. I have a beautiful house in the country. I have a beautiful marriage. I have a beautiful dog. I have all of these things. And really feeling the emotion behind that, that is what's going to be drawn into your life, because your mind doesn't know the difference between what's happening right now and what could happen in the future. And that was so freaking powerful, because when we were there at Joe's event, a lot of people go there with a lot of very serious physical disabilities, illnesses, like terminal things, like a lot of really intense things. And they see some pretty wild transformations with their health by using the power of visualization, guys. And this is like crazy stuff to be even talking about, but your mind is a very, very powerful thing. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share on that.
You hit the nail on the head. And actually, I'm glad that you brought that up for what we did experience there. There were people with MS, terminal 4, stage 4 cancer, like, tumor growths and stuff. And there's doctors and the scientists and stuff that are all on hand there too at these retreats. And sometimes like they're tracking the brain activity, of course, but they're also too, if you opt into this, they will track tumors and these sort of things too. And to actually see shrinkage, elimination, people that have been wheelchair bound actually walking across the stage.
Wild.
Like it's wild to know that you can create such a transformation. And as Erinn had said too, that your mind doesn't know if you are ruminating about something from the past and bringing it into your present, or are you future tripping something scary in a potential future and bringing it into your present moment, or if you are actually just living in a present moment. And that's why people too so often too get sick with dis-ease and with, ailments and with bad luck, or, the things like a black cloud over their heads that we've always talked about, like, oh, well, you can just sort of feel that person, that energy, and they're going, ooh, they're living that victim mode, but they've built this black cloud that's permanently over them because they're ruminating. I got screwed over with that. Oh, like it's like I got, you know, raped when I was a kid, or I had an abusive mother and father, or, things that I got kidnapped, like whatever it could be, right? I
Mhm.
lived with poverty.
Yeah.
I lived, out of a car when I was a little kid, or like all those, but you get imprinted. There's a trauma imprint that happens then. And our job though is to release that, forgive yourself, forgive the situation, like let it go, because your brain, your mind does not know that that's not happening any longer when you are ruminating with the stuff in the past or future tripping with something scary in the future.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a very valid point.
And, you could have a really awful thing happen to you, and that's absolutely horrendous and just terrible, and that situation, if it was one situation of a really, really bad traumatic experience, that happened once in your life. But everybody, so many people have repeated it probably a million times over the course of their life through their thoughts, right? And through that horrible imprint in their life. But anyways, we're going down a whole different rabbit hole right now. But I think just like the power, if you go back to just the power of visualization and the power of co-creating your life and actually really bringing like really right now, we are in this present moment right now. Kelly and Erinn Show here on whatever, August 15th, when we're recording this right now, 2025, present day. But there are right now quantum realities. There are multiple versions of us happening simultaneously. And if you really go deep into this stuff, you guys, you can tap into the version of Erinn living her best life. Not to say I'm not living my best life right now, but Erinn in a different reality, Kelly in a different reality, in infinite different realities. And all it takes is for you tapping into it and really believing that that is the reality that is for your highest good. And that's something that like I've really started leaning into myself of like, okay, how do I feel when I have this life, when I have this dream for myself? What are the emotions that go through me? And I've noticed so many different things presenting themselves to me as a result of just feeling the emotion behind it. It's wild.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Because you're
really.
choosing it, you're choosing that, and you're choosing to bring it into your life. And you're choosing it, you're choosing joy, you're choosing happiness, you're choosing surrender, you're choosing, no shame, you're choosing to walk from guilt, you're choosing from any kind of bad decision you made even in the past. You're choosing your present highest journey, and that will come in, and we don't know what it looks like. You know what? It gets wrapped in a different candy wrapper every single time, right?
Yeah.
We don't know how it's going to look. We don't know how it's going to turn out. We don't. We knew when we got kicked out of Burlington, we knew that we were going to be so supported. We just knew it. We visualized it. We had no idea how it was going to look. We had no idea it was going to turn into a location literally one block up that was a little bit even bigger square footage wise. We had the same old heritage building. We had no idea how that was going to turn out. And yet we believed it. We saw it. We felt it. We tasted it. We could just feel that joy come through our hearts again. That imprint was so strong that we were going to find something. We were going to be supported for something. Hey, you know what too? It could have meant, who knows, that we were going to go to Arizona or
Yeah.
Calgary or somewhere different,
Mhm.
Florida or
Yeah.
Montreal, like whatever, like who knows? Like we were so open to just allowing life to support our next leg of this journey. That was it.
And that's really what it all comes down to is just trusting and having faith, like we have said 10 million times before.
We're broken records.
We've said this since, March the 3rd of 2025 now, so, when we got the news of 401 Brant Street terminating all of that crazy stuff. So I think if we can just recap this episode, what I really want to leave our incredible listeners with, and thank you so much for hanging out with us for this long, is really just try to visualize one goal, one thing in your life that you want to make a reality that isn't a reality right now, but visualize it as if it's already real. What emotions do you feel when you visualize yourself hitting that goal. Maybe you have a certain weight that you want to be at. Maybe you have a certain bank account balance you want to be at. Maybe you have a certain house you want to live in, a certain relationship you want to attract into your life. How do you feel when when you feel that end result? Really feel that in your body, and then take that one concrete action toward it today before the day ends, and really just sit with that feeling. And I think that's just something really simple and really tangible that so many people can take away from this.
I love that, Erin.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to remove the pressure
Yeah.
that we put on ourselves and the competition or the less than that we are with, always comparing like this. I have a hard time with social media because I do find it so toxic. And I see people, and I even catch myself thinking, "Oh, maybe I should be doing it this way, or maybe, what's my problem, or, whatever." And just, there's these glimpses of not being, enough. And we have to ask ourselves, like, whose standard is being imprinted on us right now? So like we are all, there's 8 billion of us here. And that's the beauty of being on this earth, is that, we all have different hobbies we love. We have things we really enjoy doing. Like, how can that play out to be the full-time gig in your life? Like I love painting. I haven't done a lot of it lately. I'm talking about artwork. But I would love to make that more of a full-time thing for me, because I find that I'm in so much joy when I'm doing that. And then I also too love being in the kitchen, because I love baking and creating new ideas and new recipes and things like that, and giving back. Like I want to give the gift of health to people. That, how do I manifest all of this to give out to the world? But it's taking those steps, it's like, oh, I realize that when I'm actually painting, I actually create space, and I'm tuning into my heart.
Yeah.
I've lost my mind because doing abstract, like you're letting go. And it's interesting to feel all the different messages that start coming to me. So different than living in my 3D reality out here in the world, right? When I do things like that, I find I tap into something that's so much greater than me. And I'm just offering this, is that we have to do things different. You have to break a pattern. You have to stop doing all the shit you've been doing for the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years, whatever, 70 years that you've been here on this earth. Like, if you want a different life, you have to change the patterning that has been so imprinted on you, and short circuit it and go, so what if I did go and buy a bunch of, paint and artist tools and a couple of canvases, just throw some paint on it, just go and decide to go and do some gardening, go start a veggie garden, start reading about it first, but then execute it. Reading is one thing, great to get that knowledge, but the other part is execution. And with that execution is where the magic happens. I never dreamt in a million years that by me creating the Mile High Brownie back in 2010, that it would have, like, we've sold like probably hundreds of thousands,
if not millions, probably millions of brownies,
of Mile High brownies. And I committed to that because I wanted to give so much joy and so much pleasure to an allergy-friendly product that was going to be so big and so wicked. And let's make the name Mile High Brownies. Like, let's really go out there and do something crazy. And we won the Toronto Vegan Bake Off. We got recognized with awards for it. But it's also been our number one really cool, iconic
trademark sort of.
Yeah, trademark seller of it, right? But had I not put in those 6 months of action, like dedicating to like 4:00 in the mornings where nobody was there and just playing like Metallica and Ozzy Osbourne and stuff, and I'm, creating in that music, the music was creating a frequency in me, and there you go.
And I think that this whole, I love all of that so much. And I think that this concept of the power of visualization, the power of what your end goal is, and actually then taking that action, I want that to be a whole separate podcast, because I think that there is so much to unpack within all of that. And we can jump into the whole Mile High Brownie story and all of that other fun stuff and everything else that we're doing right now to build out 461 Brant Street, because that is a monster project that we are currently working on. And holy crap, how are we going to get it all done, you guys, by December for the Christmas season?
We're just breaking pattern, Erin. We're just putting one foot in front of the other.
That's it.
No plan. We just are trusting in our team that's around us. And we can only do what we can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning into this episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our podcast. Please leave us a review. We would so appreciate it. It literally takes 10 seconds to just click 5 stars on Apple or Spotify. We would so appreciate it. And until next time, until next week, we're going to be chatting about actually taking action on these big dreams, these big goals that you have in your life. So we'll chat soon.